Cole, that may be happening soon because your mother's so old, she co-wrote one of the 10 Commandments.
What up, what up, what up? Welcome back to the Fifth Flow, where we go ahead and actually review that 90s iconic series, Martin. And I'm here to go ahead and actually tell you about all of the trivia, the nuances, the cameos, little details that you might have ignored, as I will also go ahead and actually get down with telling you what the flow is, what the vibe was, what the world was going through during that particular episode. Today, we're going to go ahead and actually review season 1, episode 6, Forever Sheneneh, which, as I know growing up, this is actually one of a lot of people's first, what they thought was like a really hilarious one. And that actually premiered October 1st, 1992. But before I go ahead and actually do the breakdown on that, let me go ahead and actually give you some of the news globally, domestically in the US, maybe some sports, music, all that kind of good stuff. And then we'll go ahead and actually jump into the episode. If you don't want to go ahead and actually get the vibe of stuff, go ahead and actually go to the timestamp. I have all the timestamps down below so that you can know just to start into the episode. Fair enough? All right, let's do it. In the news globally, the biggest thing that actually happened during that time was September 26th. It was a breakthrough in ending apartheid. Nelson Mandela and President F.W. de Klerk signed the Record of Understanding. This agreement aimed to curb political violence and pave the way for the resumption of constitutional negotiations to end the apartheid system. So obviously a monumental step forward into abolishing apartheid. Not much else is going on domestically for us North Americans, but let's go ahead and actually check out the sports because we have a couple things in sports. On September 30th, George Brett recorded his 3,000th career hit against the California Angels, and he was actually picked off on first after he got the hit or whatever, but nonetheless, he wouldn't actually hit that milestone, and I believe he was the 18th hitter to ever go and actually hit that milestone at that particular time. So shout out to George Brett. And then another monumental sports happening. September 25th, 1992, a unique exhibition match took place at Caesars Palace in Las Vegas, where Jimmy Connors played Martina Navratilova, billed as the third Battle of the Sexes, where the rules were modified to balance the play. Connors was restricted to one serve per point, and Navratilova was allowed to hit into doubles alleys. With the result, despite the handicaps, 40-year-old Connors won in straight sets 7-5 and 6-2. But again, another Battle of the Sexes. The first one I kind of remember was, and I wasn't alive during this time on there, but Billie Jean King, and I'm not sure of the tennis player that played, but he didn't actually take her seriously, but she played it real tough. But I digress. That was actually a monumental thing that was happening in the sports program. Let's get a vibe of music and then movies, and then we're going to go ahead and actually get on to this episode. In the music, we actually have our top 5 in the music billboards. Number 5, Baby 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 by TLC. Number 4, Jump Around by House of Pain. Humping Around by Bobby Brown comes in at number 3. Number 2, Sometimes Love Just Ain't Enough by Patti Smith and Don Henley. And continuous run at number 1, End of the Road by Boyz II Men. And last but not least, what's going on the silver screen? Number 5, Singles. Number 4, Captain Ron. Number 3, Mr. Saturday Night with Billy Crystal and Helen Hunt. Number 2, Sneakers drops to number 2. And then number 1, The Last of the Mohicans with Daniel Day-Lewis. So that's all the culture, news, and sports that we had going on during that time of this particular episode premiere. But now, let's get to the main event. It's Forever Sheneneh, premiering on October 1st, 1992 with a runtime of 23 minutes. Was shot on Stage 31 at Universal Studios. Director was Chuck Vinson, with the writer Bentley Kyle Evans. Came with the ratings of 15.5 million. The synopsis goes like this. Sheneneh wins a date with Christopher Kid Reed and goes overboard in her eagerness to seduce him. So right there, we got a couple different things on there. We know we're going to go and get a cameo by Christopher Kid Reed. If you know who that is, we'll kind of stop in on that. Sheneneh actually makes her third appearance, and then her over eagerness to seduce him, probably going to have a little bit of laughs going on that. So that's what we have for the synopsis. Let's go ahead and actually break down what's happening in this particular episode. First, we actually have another one of Martin's monologues, and in this one, he's actually talking about him getting bullied as a kid and whatnot. I think this is like his second, maybe even his third story about him getting bullied. Martin, big eared, short. I can probably see him getting bullied, which is actually one of the reasons probably why Martin actually is an amateur gold glove fighter. So if you know that about him, you know that maybe he did he'll actually have some sense about these bullies. But anyways, it's actually a funny little story, especially when it goes about the pettiness and who is actually revealed to be in the end that it's a girl that was bullying him, and his pettiness now looking back at it as he's older. So another funny monologue. I'm going to go and actually let you hear the highlights here before we go and actually get into the episode.
Started when this jackass kept taking my lunch money. But this time, I was determined to get it back. So one day, right in the middle of this assembly, I walked right up. Cassandra! I ain't taking this no more. I went into this blind rage. 2 hours later, I woke up in the nurse's office with a slice of bologna on my eye. I'll never forget that day, but, you know, I've grown up since then. So, Cassandra, if you're listening, I want a rematch.
All right, good monologue. Now, first scene is actually in Martin's apartment, and opens up with him, Tommy, and Cole kicking it in the apartment as always. Just go ahead and actually just talking, hanging out like boys normally do.
After this promotion, you become the #1 DJ. You're gonna finally get rid of those old hot dogs.
Yo, man, after I'm the #1 DJ, I ain't gonna be spending my money all crazy. And ain't nothing wrong with those hot dogs. They just got a little mole on them.
And actually, Martin is actually talking about his station getting Kid from Kid and Play to go and actually do a contest on the radio station. And one of the things that I noticed while they're having this conversation is look at Martin's apartment. It's actually a little messy. It's not like torn up messy or anything like that, but it's got a little bit of messiness in the kitchen and where they're eating and stuff like that. I like that because it actually shows of it kind of like a lived in type of experience. Really love it. I just thought it was something nice to go and actually notice. One of the things that they're going as they're talking about Martin is kind of living up of what his dream of what this will springboard into, having Kid on there, and this will make him into a bigger and bigger star on the radio station and all that. And it's actually one of the things on there that he goes and actually talks about that he wants Arsenio's job. Now, those that don't know, Arsenio Hall was a very influential pop culture talk show host back in the 90s, the first black late night talk show host, and he was of the culture. Anybody knows anything on there knows that we tuned in to watch Arsenio and guests that he had and all that kind of stuff, and he was talk of the town. And if you go and actually think about it, in later episodes, we have Varnell Hill, played by Tommy Davidson, who actually is kind of, I wouldn't say parodying him, but copying a lot of that Arsenio flow and things like that. And then, of course, ironically, later in the series, Martin is going to go ahead and actually kind of follow in those footsteps. So I love the hint of Martin wanting to have Arsenio's job because it seems like we're headed that way. But I digress. Because we also go ahead and actually know that here's what Cole's dream is.
I got dreams too, big dreams. You know, moms ain't gonna live forever, right? One day I'm gonna get that room with the window.
Yeah, him having his dream or whatever, totally different than anybody else's. So as we go ahead and actually continue on, and the guys are having their discussion about that, Pam and Gina come on in, and Pam is actually inquiring how she could go ahead and actually, win this date with Kid. And Cole goes and actually interjects himself with being in there like, hey, don't worry about Kid. You're going to actually worry about me. And, man, we got to go ahead and actually show you how Pam did him dirty.
I mean, well, why you want a kid, huh? When you got a man right here. I mean, now just don't wear no perfume because, moms get real upset. I had a little freak over, you know what I'm saying?
Why? She ain't upset because she had a little freak for a son. Find it, pick it up. There you go.
Yep, it is. Poor Cole. getting this. But anyways, as we kind of move on to the scene, we go ahead and actually move into the hallway where Gina and Pam run into Sheneneh, and Sheneneh go ahead and actually having that run in with Pam. Her and Pam is just on site with both of them, and just the craziness and whatnot. But it kind of just shows you that juxtaposition of who they are, and it's just always with them. They're always ready to go and whatnot. We dissolve from the hallway scene and we get to the radio station. And in the radio station, the immediate part of it is going actually showing uh, Martin, Sean, and Stan, getting ready for Kid's visit. And I'm fine with Martin and Stan kind of having suits on there, but the fact that Sean got into a suit totally makes no sense. Like, Kid is like a world-renowned artist at this particular point. He knows that engineers don't go and actually wear suits and all that kind of stuff. So it's absolutely crazy that they had Sean going and actually doing that. But before we get deep into the scene, let's talk about him. Christopher Kid Reed, one half of the duo Kid and Play, producing songs like Rolling with Kid and Play and Too Hype, and they were hot in the late 80s, early 90s. They also started the movie franchise House Party, which actually ends up being, 5 of them? And then there was a reboot that happened recently over the last couple of years or so. Most people still know them from their iconic dance routine as well, the toe-to-toe dance clip, where some people actually still try that. Even I'm sure there's kids that's trying it on TikTok and whatnot and probably claiming it as their own. But yeah, definitely a group of the culture at that particular time. Now, Kid is actually the light-skinned one of the group, known for his extreme high-top fade, and he's just kind of considered like being like the calmer of the two and whatnot, a little bit of the cleaner of the two. That is Kid from Kid and Play, him being in this scene. So here we have him visiting. He's going actually sitting down with Martin. And again, the whole thing is a date with Kid. So Martin kind of starts talking to him about what does Kid like in a woman, what is he looking for, and all that kind of stuff. Kid goes and actually starts talking to him. They actually go ahead and actually go back and forth a little bit of a rib on there because Martin also asks, how Kid got his name, and they kind of rib each other a little bit.
So I guess your father got to stop drinking, huh?
You need to stop hanging out with your mom. That's what you need.
Yo, man, don't talk about my mother. You don't know me like that.
And of course, we like this back and forth. Why? Because one, it's genuine, but two, there's a lot of allusions to callbacks to different things in here in this particular episode because of who's here. Kid from Kid and Play and being in a house party. One of his co-stars was Martin Lawrence, being the DJ Bilal, whose breath was kicking, right? So they know each other from way back, and it's just good to see them kind of beefing on this while they're going to actually doing this interview. I'm sure they had a lot of laughs doing it. And so while they're actually going through this, we're going to actually have a couple of callers because the rules of the contest are they're going to have ladies go and actually call in and want to go and actually talk to Kid. And the third caller is going to win the date with Kid. First caller that comes on is Myra J., which is her third appearance as a caller. This is her call.
Hi, Kid. My name's Crystal.
Hi, how you doing, baby? What's up?
Oh, talking to you is the best thing that's happened to me since I was named Miss Detroit. I'm so excited.
Oh, well, don't get too excited. You're not the right caller.
Right? Sounding good, sounding nice or whatever. And Martin being his usual self, right? Then we go ahead and actually get to the second caller, and that's played by Jane Milmore as caller number 2. Now, she's a co-executive producer. She's actually played the caller, I think, like a couple different times on episodes or whatever, but here's her call.
Hi, I've been a fan of yours for years.
Thank you, baby.
Oh, Kid, I hope I'm caller number 3, because I just stepped out of the bubble bath to call you, and I'm dripping wet.
Ooh. Well, finish soaking.
Wait. Hold up now. I want to talk to her. Hold up. Sweetheart, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Oh, I'm about 5'5", and people always mistake me for Vanessa Williams.
Ooh. Well, one thing they won't mistake you for is a winner because you're not the right caller.
And as you can kind of see, the theme of everything on here is that, hey, they are going to go ahead and actually have, he's passing up potentially what it sounds like some attractive women. But we get to the third caller. The third caller is, of course, Sheneneh.
Here we go. Caller number 3. You on with Kid? What up?
Hello? Hello? How you doing? This is your day. Am I the third caller?
Yeah, Kid doesn't know any better. He doesn't know who Sheneneh is, but we can see how Martin feels about that. And thusly, we're going to go ahead and actually get to the next scene and kind of see what the aftermath is to that. So back at Martin's apartment, obviously coming on in, Martin's back in the apartment. He's already kind of flustered because of Kid. He knows what's at stake here. Kid going out with someone that may not be that attractive, might not come out very well or whatever. So Martin he's in an apartment, and Gina comes in there, and she's asking, why'd you call me over, what have you. And it's hilarious that she didn't know that what actually happened on the show, because we already know in episode 1 that Gina listens to the show, and then 2, because Pam already was excited about the whole thing of trying to win the day with a kid, so she would have known, and Pam works with Gina, so she would have known. Plot hole, writing faux pas, but I digress. So when Martin tells her that it was Sheneneh when actually won the prize, Gina cracks up, what have you, and Martin's like, hey, I'm not kidding, we need to go ahead and actually check this on in, and he actually has a plan on how we could go ahead and actually fix this.
All right, now listen. I already called Sheneneh over, okay? Now, when she gets here, I'm gonna bang in her head with this pan, all right? I'm gonna lay her on the couch, all right? Stand guard. You go next door and pretend you're Sheneneh and give Kid the date of his life.
Of course, Gina's not down for that. And she's going to actually say, like, look, let her come on over. I'll give her some advice and whatnot that for lady and all that kind of stuff. And Sheneneh comes on over. Martin goes and actually hides in the bedroom. And Gina and Sheneneh kind of have a heart-to-heart girl talk. And Sheneneh actually shows some vulnerability and actually says that she really loves her some Kid, really wants to go and actually go right and things like that. And, of course, Gina offends her by saying, like, hey, let me show you some girl tips and all that kind of stuff. And Sheneneh, like, I got this. Don't worry about it. You don't know no better. And she gets on back over to her place. And, hey, we're going to go ahead and actually see the way that this is supposed to go and actually work. So now we get the time lapse of Kid coming over to Sheneneh's apartment. And one of the things, before we go next year in the apartment, I want you to notice to the right on there. Remember in my very first episode when we saw Sheneneh, and I said I was going to look and see how long that lost dog poster is there. It's not there anymore. It's gone. So they keep on changing up the outside of the apartments. I like that. But anyways, we get Kid going, actually getting snatched up into Sheneneh's apartment. And let's talk a little bit about Sheneneh's apartment, okay? Now, I'm going to just show you some of the still pictures and frames and whatnot, so that if you look at this episode now, hopefully you'll find some things on there that I had, some stuff I'd noticed before, other things I had never seen before or hadn't noticed or what have you. I'm going to show you these on there so you can know just how insane Sheneneh's apartment was, right? We noticed that she got plenty of S's all over the place for her initial Sheneneh. She's got just the tackiest animal print all over. She's got an ottoman. She's got on a rug, those window drapes, hanging there. She's got it all kinds of over there. She's got obviously the couch with the big red lips on it, and it really stands out. And some other stuff is on there, like on her bookshelf. You're gonna go ahead and actually see things with like Kid and Play on there. At the top of the bookshelf, there's like a palm reading model. There's like a hand that actually kind of shows you how to read palms or whatnot. To each side of her door, the album cover for Kid and Play's Face the Nation, that's to the left. To the right, I couldn't really tell whose poster that was. It doesn't look like it's an album poster. It looks like it's just a journal poster. I couldn't tell. That's either Mary J. Blige or Yo-Yo. If it is Yo-Yo, that's way more apropos considering Sheneneh going forward. But it could be Sheneneh too, or it could be Mary J., but I'm not entirely sure. Also, to that closet to the right, you're going to actually see that there is a picture of Kid on there. And then right above that, there appears to be a picture of like a picture of Kid as how he appears in like class act with the super high top fade with the glasses on, and it looks like Shanae is like cut out like right next to him on there, which is hilarious because again, class act. Another crossover thing because one of the villains in that particular movie is Tommy, right? So we got that going on. Lastly, just kind of looking at some other things on in Shanae's apartment is we see a couple more pictures of uh, Kid and Play on here, but look, both on the bookshelf there, you're gonna see a wider screen of a set photo, what it looks like, of King Beef and his girls. And then it also appears behind on the far end wall, like going towards the Sinead's kitchen, King Beef again. So she is really a King Beef fan. That's all on here. Absolutely hilarious. And then, of course, I would be remiss if I don't go ahead and actually mention that Full Force uh, album. I don't know if that's an album. It didn't look like an album cover, but it kind of does. But that's a Full Force poster in the background. And obviously, Full Force was the group that was beefing with Kid and Play in House Party series. So a lot of crossing going on over here. A lot of different stuff for you guys to go ahead and actually live onto. But I wanted to go ahead and get that rundown of Shanae's apartment because it is absolutely hilarious. The other thing to go ahead and actually kind of notice about her apartment is that there's a lot of stuff going on there. She's got like drawings up on the wall, and she's got a lot of different things. One of the things that you have to kind of appreciate is that Shanae is an artist. She does a whole lot of different stuff on there. And I think that they really tried to convey that out there. But I digress, get back into the actual episode itself, where Kid meeting Shanae when Shanae goes ahead and actually asks, if he wants to go and actually drink a 40. Obviously, a 40 was a big thing. 40 OE, if I'm not mistaken, English back in the day, malt liquor. I've never been a drinker, myself, but just being around during that time, that's what, a lot of cats was drinking and stuff back in the day. But after we go ahead and actually get past all that, Shanae says, well, hey, don't even worry about, we're not going out to dinner. I got you, dinner cooking in the kitchen right here. Before that comes on out, you want a little entertainment. And then Martin goes and actually does this stuff.
Bam.
Of course, being just crazy. And then he goes and actually makes his move as Martin Shanae trying to go ahead and actually kiss Kid. And then that's where he's like, nope, I gotta go. I gotta get up out of here. And he runs over to Martin's apartment, right? Martin comes on up, which is funny because it's like, did Martin have his door open? Because he already had the door open and no knock happened. Like, it's just like, did he have it open? I don't know. That just made no sense. But anyways, go ahead and actually slide on over. And Martin and Gina are there, and Kid's lamenting, like, just kind of insinuating of how ugly Shanae is and all this kind of stuff. And Martin and Kid are kind of going back and forth like that. And then Gina goes and actually says, like, oh, that's real nice. You're a celebrity, and this is like one of your biggest fans. And you're going to go ahead and actually not want to spend time with her, just something that she'll remember forever. It'll be done over for you for a little bit, but give her your time. And it makes Kid consider, what's going on and kind of really put it into context. So he's like, I'll go back over there and I'll talk to her. And before Kid goes and actually leaves the door, and Martin goes and actually says, like, hey, Kid.
Hey, Kid. Ain't gonna hurt nobody.
Don't hurt nobody. It's just a thing out there. So like that, love it. Nice callback. As we get into the final scene, going back to Shanae's apartment, Kid spends his time apologizing, really kind of saying that he didn't mean anything by it, and he actually gives her a gold K out of his pocket. I don't know. He must have had that ready for the date and whatnot, and hangs it on her. And she's like, oh, "Thank you. I knew you wasn't like for everybody else." And she asked him to go and actually dance with her. And it ain't just like a regular dance, right? She's got to go and actually do the most because she's Shanae. So this is what we get. Yep. Neon sign that says Forever Sheneneh. And they go and actually doing a slow kiss. And it was really nice. It's almost like a sweet, like prom type of moment or whatnot. And it is good. And Sheneneh as Kid, one particular thing on there just and the eyes that he just gives in this scene is crazy. But check this out.
Can you kiss me? Just like you did that little light-skinned girl at house party.
Yep, just like that little light skinned girl in House Party, which again, House Party also starring Tisha Campbell, who is now playing Gina. So there's this insinuation again, crossover again. We're doing a lot of that zeitgeist in here. And that's where we go and actually freeze frame of Kid just turning away like, oof, don't know if I want to do that. So that's the end of the episode Forever Sheneneh. So what do I think about it? For the writing, I think a lot of the writing was good overall from the aspect of this is that there was the premise is perfectly fine of setting it up to go and actually have the guys coming Kid coming over as a personality type and Mark being excited for it and running a contest. Those are all realistic things that happen on radio stations, all kinds of things happening and wanting to really work out. I think having showing the contest kind of take place in a radio station whenever you can go and actually write Stan and Sean into scenes because they're scene stealers. I think that's always good. Although they didn't really do much here, so there wasn't a whole lot for them to work with. So this time they weren't really scene stealers, but having the environment of Martin kind of talk to Kid in the studio was nice. Sexy female callers was nice. All that kind of good stuff. Then we kind of get into the little plot hole about the engineering, clothing, whatever. Not that's not a plot hole, just weird. And then writing of Sheneneh being a caller was absolutely perfect. It was hilarious. Kind of reaction that we think that braggadocious men would go ahead and actually come to and whatnot. I think was funny. And Martin wanted to solve it. That was good. Martin or Gina being a pragmatist and all that. I think that was really good. They kind of flesh out Sheneneh's character a little bit more. That she's not just a hood girl. That there's more to her. And I like that. And they gave, Kid a little bit to go and actually work with. I think the plot hole about, the entering like the different departments was kind of weird. Gina not knowing about the contest when she came over to Martin. There's just some plot holes from the Martin standpoint of the universe was a little bit off. But it was decent writing, right? Because we had some good laughs and whatnot. The acting was good for everybody overall. I think Martin's was the most realistic, hilarious. Sheneneh opening up was fine. Kid was fine for him being a celebrity. I think he did a good job there. Gina was kind of like the heart of this one, and I think that was good. For me, the acting was above average, but it wasn't great or what have you. Overall, I like this being the third of Sheneneh's appearances in the sixth episode. This one, the writing, the acting, the premise, what they accomplished, and all that kind of good stuff. I think this is a solid Martin episode. It would be at the six right now, and again, I'll reevaluate all of them as we come to the end of a season, or once I go and actually evaluate all of them. I'll probably have one big list or something like that at some time. But during these first six episodes, this is probably like the second or third best one. It's in the top half of those. I'm not saying much because only 6 episodes, but it was solid. It was good. And this is one where I think a lot of people can point to it of being hilarious. The biggest one for me was catching all the things that I had never seen before. Like, I've seen the episode plenty of times, but catching all the things in Sheneneh's apartment was absolutely hilarious. The king beef stuff, didn't know that existed and all that kind of stuff. So, but that's it. That's all I have. That is the episode Forever Sheneneh. What do you think? What do you guys think? Give me likes, give me shares, give me subscribe if you really like it. Do you like this format and what have you? Just whatever you can do to encourage me, let me know. This guy got solid, good criticism. Let me know. Gonna keep on going with this, but until the next time, you know what you got to do.
I've been waiting to say this all year, and I'm gonna say it. And this is a good time. Get the stepping. Now, Don't you feel tough? Yeah. Don't you feel strong? Yeah. Don't you feel like going home? Sure. Yeah. You get the hell out of my apartment and take
Back up a taste? Just a taste. Just give me some room.
Hey.
Okay, the door's gonna slam about now.